I'm going to talk about how to lose your soul. And this is something that you probably wish didn't pop up on your YouTube feed, but you probably had to click on it because you're like, what is this guy talking about? And it's a pretty simple thing. And the point of this channel is that I want to help you become the best version of yourself so that you can live a life full of purpose and passion and be productive. And I think that we need to just have some certain understandings of how the world works in order to be successful in that area. What I found is we as humans are not just a biological being. We are a spiritual being, so to speak, okay? An eternal being. And this reality, this life that we live, is just a fragment of our existence. It is just a small part of our total existence as a being. And what happens is people get very caught up in what's happening here in this reality to the point where they mentally start subconsciously believing that this is all there is, even though consciously they may know they're going to die someday. Subconsciously, they're so hyper-focused on this physical 3D reality that we live in. And the way to lose your soul is the more you are focused on this physical, attaining things in this physical, being attached to things in this physical, I feel like it corrupts your soul. Versus if we understand, hey, look, I'm a spiritual being and I am here temporarily on a mission or a learning experience or an adventure, and this is temporary, we can stay grounded spiritually and connected to God and produce a life full of fulfillment and prosperity. And I was just thinking about, there's this verse in the Gospel of John that Jesus says, unless a kernel of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. However, if the kernel falls into the ground and dies, it produces many seeds. And I was thinking that's kind of a weird way to put it. I've never thought about a seed dying before. I always considered it being transformed, but the seed, so to speak, has to give up being a seed in order to grow into a plant that produces things. And sometimes we have to give up what our current life and current life situation is in order to get a better life. That life needs to figuratively die. And if we hold on to the life that we have, it ultimately may end up in a lot of soul corruption. You'll lose your soul because if you think about a human being on a spectrum, okay, we have a physical side and a spiritual side. And let's just say you want to start right off in the middle. The more I go into the physical, the more I'm worried about the physical, the more I'm worried about my ego. But the more I'm aligned in the spiritual, that's where life and fulfillment happens. And I believe that that's where we need to be rooted at we have spiritual desires, it seems, that are natural desires, but we also have physical desires. And if we let the physical desires and this physical reality, like, oh man, I just want that car. Oh, I want that house. I want that house on the beach. I want that specific person. I want to date that specific person, whatever it is. The more you're wrapped up in that, you're basically eating away at your soul, because once again, we're on a spectrum. Let's use these two pens right here. We have the green and the red side. So the green side is our spirit side, and the red side is our flesh side, or our ego side, okay? So how to lose your soul? Your soul is the green side. The more we are on the red side, fleshly things, we're on that side of the spectrum. You know, if you think about the political, they're radically left or radically right, whatever it is. You're radically flesh or radically spirit, is how I would describe that. So you're losing your soul over here, and you're losing your flesh over here. And I'm not necessarily even promoting somebody to be super spiritual on this side. I think being more in the middle, or maybe, halfway up the spiritual side, because this is a physical reality, and we are here for a reason. We're part of this reality, and there's physical things in this reality that we need to do. We need to take care of ourself. We need to have a shelter. We need food. Those are all things in the physical realm. Sometimes we need to have physical, fun, material experiences. That's part of life. So I don't want to encourage that you need to be super on this side of the spectrum all the time, because that's just not attainable. That would be like a monk. A monk would be all over there. And if you want to do that, I'm not going to say no to that, but I don't necessarily think that everyone needs to do that. But what would be bad, though, is being too far on this side, because you're not going to be productive. And if you are productive, you're not going to be able to enjoy the things, or you'll be living in like a delusion, because all of the success that you would gain in life will go away someday. All right? So just keep that in mind. You are going to die someday. It's awesome to feel like you live a life full of success and abundance, and you create a great life, and you are very productive here, and I encourage everyone to do that. But we also just need to understand, like, your identity is not rooted in that mansion or that Lamborghini, or that maybe it's a simple life. Maybe it's a simple life like just living in a van and traveling the world, okay? But we have to understand that reality, the more we're attached to that part, because things change. Maybe our identity is rooted in your marriage or your relationship, and maybe that thing ends at some point. So the more we are tied into this reality and the things that we have, like, oh no, my Lego collection, right? If your Lego collection, your house burns down and your Lego collection melts, and if you were super attached to that, you may lose your soul in that sense, because now you're now you're angry, you're bitter. But if you realize, hey, look, I enjoyed that Lego collection for a small period of time, and now its time is done, its time is over, you don't have that soul corruption, is how I'm describing that. You don't have that soul corruption. You're unattached. The more unattached we can become, the more spiritually pure we can become. You invite somebody out to hang out with you, and they decline, now you're all angry. That's soul corruption. You're losing your soul. But if you just realize, hey, they got their own journey in life. I invited them. They don't want to come. Maybe they don't want to come because they don't like me. I'm unattached. Okay? So that's just kind of what I was thinking about this morning. I wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Losing your soul means being hyper-focused on this reality. Gaining your soul is realizing, and living a life full of purpose is realizing that this reality ends. And you are not from this place. You just are here as a visitor, is what I want to encourage. So have a wonderful day, guys. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video. If it was just something you found cool and wanted to think about, share that with a friend.